Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Jada Mega Man Woodman, which is definitely the most creative name. Now, all of the characters back then were just something and then man, which is fine, but this figure is particularly interesting because it comes in at $30, and that's basically the same price as Marvel Legends these days, but it does a bunch of things that I was told by the Hasbro team that you just simply cannot do for a reasonable price point. So, I don't know what's going on, but apparently Jada's able to do it. So let's go ahead and get this guy off the stand and take a closer look. Alright, before we look at the figure, I do want to show you my package, and it's a really, really nice package. I love that they have window on the sides, big window on the front, window on the top. This is a very displayable figure. They put the figure off to... Oh, no, they didn't. That's a bummer. I don't know why companies keep doing that. And that was sarcasm. It didn't probably land properly. The figure's right behind this. It's still very displayable, but put the figure here and the accessories here. Don't put the figure behind the cardboard, these silly companies. It's still a really, really nice package, but that's just a weird thing that keeps happening lately. I don't get it. But it's still, like I said, it's a really, really good package if you care about that sort of thing. This guy is in stock at Big Bad Toy Store if you want to get one. I'll put a link in the description below. He stands just about 13.5 centimeters, a touch under that. That's going to make him roughly 5¼ inches. Here he is up against Darwin. Not the tallest figure, but still plenty of plastic. Okay, there's plenty of plastic here, and my comparison to Marvel Legends earlier wasn't exactly fair because he doesn't have a ton of articulation, but the thing is, he's also not going to get reused. This guy's all new sculpt, and it's only good for him. Like, maybe they'll use the thighs, maybe for something else, but otherwise, this is it. So, to compare this to Marvel Legends, I think is perfectly fair, and I'm so tired of hearing people say, oh, but the Marvel license costs more. It's not a detriment to Hasbro to have the Marvel license, or they wouldn't buy it. They wouldn't pay for it. They get to sell 20,000 units of everything they make because it's a Marvel license rather than old school Mega Man that's going to sell, what, 5,000? Maybe? The license is not a detriment. It costs to have it, but that's because they're selling more product. So the fact that this guy's the same price as Marvel Legends with a completely original sculpt and with paint, look at that, all of those black spots on there, those are all painted. Which I've been told, not personally, but in video format, that you cannot paint figures for $30. You have to leave them as paint-free as you possibly can. He's got paint all over the place. He's got different molded parts, all kinds of stuff. A unique sculpt, like I said, and certainly enough articulation and some pretty clever articulation to keep him a perfectly functional action figure. And accessories? My word. Apparently you can make good action figures for $30. Just crazy. Aesthetically, this guy's just about perfect. Like, he doesn't have shading on him and stuff because, obviously, like I already said, there's a whole lot going on already. But does he have shading? He does have shading. There's shading down his butt crack. I didn't think that was a thing, but it's there. So there is shading. Not as much as, you know, you could shade him up and make him look really cool. But he does have shading on his gray parts, at least for his legs and crotch. Maybe there's some here too. It's hard to say because he's a little bit lustrous. He's a little shiny. So it's hard to say, but his paint job is nice. For the price point, for the original sculpt, for the size, for the articulation, for the accessories, he looks great. I'm going to go 9 out of 10 for the aesthetic. For $30, I mean, in today's market, this is a shoe-in. I mean, obviously, you have a much smaller market of people interested in this particular figure. That's a detriment. Buying a license that has a much smaller appeal is a detriment. It's risky. Buying a Marvel license is not risky. You're paying for the sure sales. So I'm so tired of hearing everybody complain about the Marvel license. Oh, Disney takes too much. Okay, then don't take the license. Oh, you want the license. Right, okay. All right, so moving on to accessories. This guy has an alternate head, which is not a thing we normally get to see from Hasbro, and also his head is the size of a Hasbro figure's torso. Very nicely sculpted, very nicely painted. This guy is impressive. I have no connection to this character at all. I played very little Mega Man as a kid. I always liked the franchise. I watched people play it, but I have no connection, and this is very, very impressive. Nice head sculpt, love that. Paint job's good. Alternate hands, nothing elaborate here. We have the 2 fist hands, the 2 open hands, but you still get them. And then you get this effect part and a display stand for the effect part, and the effect part is awesome. There's paint on the leaves, there's the transparent plastic, the opaque plastic, and the stand. That's great. I love things like this. How many Hasbro Marvel Legends figures do you have where the character can't represent their ability on your shelf, their superpower? Almost all of them, I would say. Most of them anyway. And this guy has a great effect part. It's gorgeous. It's going to be super photogenic if you want to take photos. I've seen some great ones out there. Love these accessories. 9 out of 10. For 30 bucks, you are getting, compared to other companies at this price point, a ton for your money. A few years ago, 30 bucks would be too much for this, I would say, but by today's standards, it's basically a steal. All right, now let's talk about the articulation, because he looks pretty stumpy and squatting like he's not going to be able to do much, and he can't, but he kind of can. The head moves around, I'll show you, on a double ball peg at the top of the neck and a ball peg at the bottom of the neck. So we're already talking about more POA than most Marvel Legends. You're not going to get a ton of range out of him given his design. He's basically a tree trunk, but the articulation's there, and it works well enough for him to work. We have a swivel hinge for the shoulder. You can get his arm up to better than horizontal, so that's all right. And then, of course, you're going to get your full rotation there. No bicep swivel there. Single jointed elbow. That's going to be just about 90 degrees, and that's where you're going to get your rotation. So like I said, he is limited in some ways, but I would say for the character, it's going to be sufficient. And then for the wrist, you have your swivel and your hinge. So if you're comparing him to a female Marvel Legends figure from about a year ago, he so far has all the same articulation. For his torso, he can actually move around really nicely. It's not a ton of range, but given his shape and size, it works nicely. So that's fine. For his hips, they go out to the side almost to the splits, almost to do the splits. Not full splits, but there are no nuggets, and they do work. So I'll give him some points for that. Bring the leg forward, not bad given his shape. That's plenty of range. Going back, you get just a touch. And there is definitely shading on there. Thigh swivel is in there. Single jointed knee works just like the elbow. His knees are a little tricky to manipulate because you can't quite tell which way the thigh is facing, and there's not much to grab onto. But yeah, he can get about 90 degrees out of the knee, and so that's pretty good. And then for the ankle, it's what you would expect. Not a ton of range, but enough, and you get your ankle rocker out of there. There is paint on the bottom as well. So yeah, his articulation is not the strong point, but it's certainly sufficient for this character. Yeah, so I'll go 7 out of 10 for articulation. It's a little bit more limited, but it's totally fine, and it does line up with at least the lower end of Marvel Legends. So where's, like, the people that are still defending Hasbro at this point, I just don't understand how they have an argument. There are companies now proving that what I've been saying for years is true. Hasbro can do what they're doing for way less money. Or they should be making better figures, and it should be the same price as what they are. But this figure is excellent for the price. It's basically everything you would want for this character, for this line. It leaves nothing on the table. It gives you what you need. There's shading throughout, there's paint throughout, there's articulation that is definitely enough. Good accessories, original sculpt, it's all that you need. It could be better, but then you're looking at 40 bucks or something like that. So I think this is a very reasonably priced figure, very high quality for what it is, and it is putting Hasbro on notice. Once again, Jada keeps doing that. That should be their slogan. Jada, putting Hasbro on notice, but nobody will notice. Some people will, but so many won't that it doesn't matter, which is the benefit of having the Marvel license. I'm going to give this guy a 9 out of 10 overall. Great figure for the money. Very, very nicely done. Well done, Jada. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.